All right, Shalom. First, I'd like to start by saying all praise to Yahweh by Shem Yahushai, by Shem Kakadash. Double honor to the elders and apostles that we will, and salutations to the brothers that's doing the truth and sincerity. Now, as you can see, this is from the New York Times. It says, "Are we getting invaded? U.S. boats face Russian aggression near Alaska." And I'm gonna just go ahead and play this, and then I'm gonna read through it and then the precept. All right, Slakia. It says, "Are we getting invaded? U.S. boats face Russian aggression near Alaska." It says Russia has escalated its provocative encounters in the North Pacific this year, harassing boats in U.S. fishing waters and sending bombers towards Alaska's shores. Right, because the Lord turned Russia up. The Lord is turning Russia up. This is Joel chapter 3, verse 9. "Proclaim ye this among the Gentiles, prepare war, wake up the mighty men. Let all the men of war draw near, let them come down, let them come up. Beat your plowshares into swords and your pruning hooks into spears. Let the weak say, I am strong." Right? So that's the heathen Russia. Prepare war. Russia ready to go to war with the U.S. It says, beat your plowshares into swords and your pruning hooks into spears. Now, we know that your plowshares and pruning hooks are farm instruments, but they're changing up, putting all the money into their military right now. Let the weak say, I am strong, because they all got nuclear capabilities, you know. All the nations that the U.S. called itself picking with, or majority of the nations that U.S. was picking with, they all got missiles, including Russia. "Assemble yourselves and come, all ye heathen, and gather yourselves together round about. Thither cause thy mighty ones to come down," which is the angels, because the angels going to get into this fight. You know, "O Lord, let the heathen be wakened, and come up to the valley of Jehoshaphat, for there will I sit to judge all the heathen round about," right? So over there in the valley of Jehoshaphat in the Middle East, they all assembled over there too. But not only are they assembled over there, they're getting into it at these other little places that they have placed around the earth. It says, "Put ye in a sickle, for the harvest is ripe." The harvest represents the end of the world. "Come, get you down, for the press is full, the fats overflow, for their wickedness is great." Right? The USA. You got homosexuality being pushed out everywhere, lesbianism, bestiality, witchcraft, whoredom, you know, all these wars and stuff that's being started. You know, it says, multitudes in the valley of decision, for the day of the Lord is near in the valley of decision. Right. So the day of the Lord, when Yahushua come back with the angels, it's like when Yahushua come back with the angels, you know, that day is approaching, man. It's right around the corner. But it says, captains from several U.S. ships in the Bering Sea captured audio and video shown here in a compilation of the Russian military presence in the area in August. It says, Anchorage, the crew of the Bristol leader was laying out its long cod catching line well within U.S. fishing territory in the Bering Sea when a voice crackled over the VHF radio and began issuing commands. The ship was in danger, it said, and needed to move. The warnings, coming in a mixture of Russian and accented English from a plane buzzing overhead, grew more specific and more urgent. There was a submarine nearby. The voice said missiles were being fired. Leave the area. Right, man, and it just came out of nowhere, man. And that's actually how the destruction gonna come upon Jake. The scriptures say a thief in the night because Jake and them still following and plans. Scripture says as in the days of Noah. It's like, let me grab this precept. This 1 Thessalonians chapter 5, verse 2, it says, "For yourselves know perfectly that the day of the Lord so cometh as a thief in the night." Let me see. Let me get more. In 2 Peter chapter 3, verse 10, it says, "But the day of the Lord will come as a thief in the night, in which the heavens shall pass away with a great noise, and the elements shall melt with fervent heat. The earth also and the works that are therein shall be burned up." Right? So Esau, the missile's going to be shot upon Esau, and it's going to come out of nowhere, man. It's going to sneak up on people. Because they sneak up on Jake because they were never paying attention to the prophecies, man. But it says, other U.S. fishing vessels that were scattered over 100 miles of open sea were getting similar messages. Captain Steve Elliott stood dumbfounded on the trawler Strelin as 3 Russian warships came barreling through. Barking orders of their own on the ship, Blue North commands from a Russian plane led Captain David Anderson to contact the U.S. Coast Guard, wondering how to protect his crew of 27. It was frightening to say the least. Captain Anderson said the Coast Guard's response was, "Just do what they say." It says the Russian military operations in August inside the U.S. economic zone off the coast of Alaska were the latest in a series of escalating encounters across the North Pacific and the Arctic, where the retreat of polar ice continues to draw new commercial and military traffic. It says this year the Russian military has driven a nuclear-powered icebreaker straight to the North Pole, dropped paratroopers into a high Arctic archipelago to perform a mock battle, and repeatedly flown bombers to the edge of U.S. airspace. It says, as seas warm by climate change open new opportunities for oil explorations and trade routes. The U.S. Coast Guard now finds itself monitoring a range of new activity. Cruise ships promise a voyage through waters few have ever seen. Research vessels trying to understand the changing landscape. Tankers carrying new gas riches, and shipping vessels testing new passageways that sailors of centuries past could only dream of. Slakia. It says Russian operations in the Arctic have meant a growing military presence at America's northern door. Rear Admiral Matthew T. Bell, Jr., the commander of the Coast Guard district that oversees Alaska, said it was not a surprise to see Russian forces operating in the Bering Sea over the summer. But the surprise was how aggressive they got on our side of the maritime boundary line, see? It says in the air, U.S. jets in Alaska typically scramble to intercept about a half dozen approaching Russian aircraft a year. Outliers on the long-range nuclear bomber patrols that Russia resumes in 2007. It said, but this year that number has risen to 14 and on pace to set a record since the Cold War era. In the most recent case, last month, the United States responded to the approach of 2 Russian bombers and 2 Russian fighters that came within 30 nautical miles of the Alaskan shores. So it's always always a test and whatnot with them, But the Lord just using this because it's going to be a war, man. It's going to be a third world war. This is a prophecy, and this is helping us maintain this, and keep our faith and brothers get confident and whatnot when they see stuff like this because it's getting closer because we read it in the scriptures, man. Matthew chapter 24, verse 6, it says, and ye shall hear of wars, and we got wars going on right now, and rumors of wars, right? But the third world war is yet to come. See that ye be not troubled, for all these things must come to pass, but the end is not yet. Right? So the Lord said we're going to hear of wars and rumors of wars. And if you've been watching the news, that's where you're going to be hearing this stuff at, man. Because it ain't like some angel finna come out the sky and give you the message. You have to sit there and watch the prophecies. You have to be diligent. You have to do the work, man. It says Russians have refurbished and restored dozens of military posts in the Arctic region, including on Wrangel Island, some 300 miles from the coast of Alaska, and have laid plans for controlling emerging navigation routes that would bring traffic through the Bering Strait between Alaska and Russia. It says this summer, Russia's military operated in the Bering Sea, home to America's largest fishery, where boats haul up pots crawling with red king crab, and trawlers dump nets filled with 200 tons of pollock onto their decks. The area is the U.S. pathway to the Arctic waters, where extraction companies have worked for years to capture the billions of dollars of oil and gas resources trapped under the seafloor. It says U.S. territorial waters extend 12 nautical miles from the nation's shores, but commercial vessels operate even farther within the U.S. exclusive economic zone, a territory stretching some 200 miles offshore, in which the country can harvest fish or natural resources without foreign competition, but cannot prohibit the passage of international vessels. It says Russian military leaders have touted the exercises in the Bering Sea as unlike any they had done before in the region. They said the goal of the effort was to prepare forces to secure economic development in the Arctic region. Right, just in case they got to go, lock horns with the U.S. And U.S. officials have acknowledged that the Russians have a right to transit the waters. Disputes over activities in exclusive economic zones around the world are not unusual, especially in the lucrative Arctic region, where several nations have contested the extent of their rights to dominate maritime economic activities. Before 1990, boundary agreement The issue was especially contentious in the Bering Sea, which narrows to just 55 miles between the coast of Alaska and Russia and the Bering Strait. It says the August exercise occurred well south of the narrow strait in an area where the sea is hundreds of miles wide. Right, and I'm going to just cut it off at that point and bring up this next precept. Right, so the Lord got the Russians turning up the fire just a little bit, you know. This Isaiah chapter 13, verse 17, Behold, I will stir up the Medes against them, which shall not regard silver, and as for gold, they shall not delight in it. Right, the Medes talking about the Russian, man. The Lord is putting the spirit on the Russians to get at, they're going to put the spirit at the Russians to eventually destroy America. But as you can see with these encounters that the Russians have been having with the U.S., not only the fishers, boats and everything, but with the military, man. You know, those are just examples and look, how do you say it? Prophecy, you know. So it says, Behold, I will stir up the Medes against them, which shall not regard silver, and as for gold, they shall not delight in it, right? So they're not going to delight in the U.S. currency anymore. And a lot of nations have been pushing out the U.S. currency and making trade deals with each other and dealing in gold, you know, and, you know, leaving the U.S. out. So, you know, this is prophecy, man, and it's only going to get worse. But, you know, with that being said, call Allah Yabashim Shai. Double honors to the elders and apostles that rule well, and salutations to the brothers that's doing the truth and sincerity. Shalom.